Hi everyone, in this video I'll explain how you can upgrade Bash on macOS and set it as your default shell. If you're watching this, then you probably have noticed that the default shell on macOS is now the Z shell and not Bash. And even though Z shell is an excellent shell, you may prefer to use Bash, especially if you, like me, tend to switch between macOS and Linux a lot. Now, macOS still includes Bash. However, the version included is quite outdated. So let's see how we can upgrade it. The easiest way to install Bash is by using Homebrew. If you don't already have Homebrew installed, you can watch our video on using Homebrew to install and manage software on macOS. So after you've installed Homebrew, you can install Bash with brew install Bash. And then after the installation completes, you will have a recent version of Bash installed in either user local bin Bash. That's if you're on an Intel Mac. If you're on Apple Silicon, the path to Bash will be opt homebrew bin bash. Remember this as you'll need the path later on. So to set Bash as your default shell, you can go into the terminal preferences screen, and here you can set a command to run for new shells. So I can set it to user local bin bash since I'm on an Intel Mac. If you're on Apple Silicon, again the path is opt homebrew bin bash. And with that said, if you open a new terminal, you should see that it's using Bash as the shell. However, this setting, it only affects the terminal app. So you'll see if I inspect my shell variable, for example, that it's still pointing to Z shell and not Bash. So actually the correct way to set your shell system-wide is by using the change shell command, chsh, and to point it to your new shell, in my case user local bin bash, on Apple Silicon opt homebrew bin bash. However, the command complains that this shell is not a standard shell. This is because we first have to register the new shell as a known shell, and you do this by editing the etc shells file. In this case, I'm using Nano as a text editor. If you're unfamiliar with Nano, just use the arrow keys, navigate to the bottom of the file, edit the file by adding a new line, add your new shell. So in my case, user local bin bash, on Apple Silicon opt homebrew bin bash, then press Ctrl X, Y, and enter to save the file. So now that the new shell is known, we should be able to run the change shell command again, and it shouldn't display any errors. Okay, so Bash is now my default shell system-wide, which means I can go back into the preferences screen and I can remove this override and just tell terminal to use the default shell. And then when I open a new tab, you should see that it's still using Bash as a default shell, and my shell variable should point to user local bin bash or to opt homebrew bin bash on Macs with Apple Silicon. And that's it. If you're on Intel Mac, that's all you need to do. However, if you're on Apple Silicon, you may have to reconfigure Homebrew for your new shell. So on Macs with Apple Silicon, after setting Bash as your default shell, try running the brew command. If it prints this information, then all is well, you don't have to do anything. However, if Bash complains it cannot find the brew command, then this means that you were using Z shell when you installed Homebrew, and that you'll have to repeat some of the Homebrew installation steps to configure Bash. So what you have to do is first run cd, that's just to make sure that you're still in your home directory, and then use nano to edit the .bash_profile file. In this file, just add one line as follows: eval and then open double quotes, $, open parenthesis, and then the complete path to the brew command. So opt homebrew bin brew, followed by the homebrew shell env command, close parenthesis, close double quotes. And what this will do is it will ask homebrew for its shell environment variables, and it will make sure that these variables are set every time that you launch bash. And this will help bash to find the brew command as well as any commands that you install using homebrew. So exit and save this file, and then the next time that you open a terminal, you should see that the homebrew command is fully functioning again. And that's it, you're all done. You may have to reboot your system just to make sure that all apps have picked up the new shell. But before you reboot, please like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more, and see you in the next one.